Good morning, everybody. We'll get rolling here. Call to order. This will go to item number 2, approval of minutes for the October 24th, 2024 monthly meeting. Have a motion?
I move for approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public comments. Do we have anyone that would like to make any comments today? If not, we'll move to item 4, which is an update on the South Broad Stadium project.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Bill Payne, city engineer. I know we've talked before. Being able to go forward, we'll be able to give you all some updates about things as they're progressing. We felt like today we'll have really more information about the construction progress. We know there are some reports and other things that you all would like to see, and we'll have those fleshed out more as we go, where things are just getting started. Sort of this beginning one is really to give you an update just about progress of how things are moving along. So far, of course, the site preparation is being done under agreement with Pike Properties. This is, as of last week, there were about 78,000 cubic yards of soil that had been moved. And I've got a time lapse I'll show you a little bit later just to sort of let you see that quick progress, which is really neat to be able to see. About 2% or so of that material that has been moved out has been set aside and covered and is going through the process of being tested to make sure that we know how to dispose of it. That's actually very good because overall, as we know, this is a brownfield site. And so we knew there would be some material that's been encountered. This is a very small amount of the material. All of the mass excavation work is complete. There's some fine tuning of those grades that are being finished up, but there's not any large amounts of soil that are yet to be moved. So this is actually very good for the project, both the schedule and the budget, in terms of being able to help us work through that. A lot of that concrete material you can see from this photograph that's on the screen. You can see where the stadium itself and where that bowl has been created on there. That was all concrete or all pavement that was on that portion of the site before. All that has been removed to another part of the site, and there is a crushing operation that is ongoing. It's actually happening 7 days a week out there at the site in order to repurpose a lot of that, either for use as structural fill or in some other way on the site. So a lot of that material is going to be reused. And the first milestone completion has happened this week. I'll show a slide on that. Next, just to give you an understanding, you can see on the right side of the screen, that's the overall stadium footprint, and the site prep work, it was anticipated to be handed over in 3 different phases or portions. That phase 1 area you can see outlined on the left with those approximate limits of the milestones. So that document has been signed over. So there's been a handoff of that phase 1 portion of the site from Pike Properties to the Sports Authority. So that has been very good ongoing coordination. A lot of fine details with all the environmental testing that has gone on by Pike Properties, which has also been had QA work done on it by the Sports Authority's environmental consultant. So there has been a lot of making sure that all that, not only all the environmental is handled, but also that the elevations are correct. So those have been surveyed by the site prep agreement by Pike Properties and also been verified by EMJ as the Sports Authority's contractor to make sure that we're getting a good handoff on everything as it happens. So work is expected to start today on some of the foundation elements for the rammed aggregate piers. So that work is moving along quite well. This slide is just a very rough idea of where the spend is. This is currently just EMJ's cash flow report. But this is just to give you a sense of sort of how they anticipated that their cash flow on their project. That's the blue dotted line you see that is trending up to the right. The solid blue line is current. That's everything to date. That goes all the way back to the pre-construction dollars, which are part of the guaranteed maximum price. So while the cash flow dollars are coming along, we still have spent currently about $6.3 million that has been spent. As we move forward, I mentioned before, this will become a more comprehensive report. May not always look like this. We may have probably some additional table reports and things to be able to help you all see both what the spend looks like as well as dollars that have been set aside for certain projects against the total budget. And you can see the total budget for everything, including the stadium and the public infrastructure component. That's the orange line at the top at $125 million. So we will be looking at everything in a comprehensive way, but this just sort of gives you an idea of what it looks like right now. We don't currently have anything on this slide for the team expenditures, the site prep expenditures, or the public infrastructure expenditures, but we will be adding those for future updates. So we mentioned, and I'm going to ask Rick to go ahead and play this. You can see this time lapse. This is a camera that Pipe Properties has put up. This is actually just off the stadium property, but it's looking towards where the field is. You can see how that work is getting started. Some of this was some demolition work. This was removal of the concrete. It's going to almost take to the very end, and you're going to suddenly see an explosion of work that happens in this at the very end. You almost blink and miss it because it kind of happens very quickly as it goes through this, but there's been a significant amount of work. We've had good weather, which has been very beneficial to the overall schedule. Cannot say enough about the good work that Brown Brothers is doing for Pipe Properties and for the coordination between Pipe, the Sports Authority, Brown Brothers, EMJ, the design team, and whatnot. So I've talked quite a bit, and you can tell that not a lot has or did it restart? I think it may have restarted. I wasn't paying enough attention.
You haven't got there.
Oh, yeah. So we still haven't gotten there yet. I thought I would talk a little bit longer than that, so we didn't cut out the first part of that. So, yeah, wait for it, because it's all going to happen, and you'll see quite a bit. Now you're starting to see some action happening there on the right and in the center of it. A lot of that was going through and taking those slabs so they could be saw cut. You can see we got some rain in the middle of that, and now you see the mass excavation equipment, and there's a lot of work that happens. And most of all of what you're seeing now, this essentially represents what's happened since the closing of the financing. So. But as this comes around to the end, and you can start to see a little bit of some drainage, I'm going to go to if we can go to the next slide, and that sort of leaves us there. This is roughly what things look like today. So I'm going to leave it on this slide. If you all have any, you all are now the proud owners of a hole in the ground. So I'm happy to be able to report that to you, but it also means that we're making a lot of great progress. So happy to answer any questions that you all may have about that. I know Andy is here as well if there's anything specific that I'm not able to answer about the site prep work. I know the public infrastructure work is ongoing. There's a tremendous amount of permit coordination and other things that are happening, but just wanted you all to know that things have moved very quickly since the closing of the financing on the project. So.
Well, just in a general sense, does everything seem to be on track? Is there any hiccups that are preventing or causing delays?
No, not at this point. There's certainly a lot of potential, for those things. So we've got the team is talking about that on a daily basis, multiple times a day to be able to work through that. There's nothing glaring that has jumped out at this point, that causes us any significant concerns. There's always something on a project like this that comes along, and you have to try to figure out how to overcome it as we work our way through. But the Superintendent Gary Gibson is the superintendent for EMJ, and he has told everybody, be there when you're supposed to be there because we won't be late. So I know he's had some subcontractors that he he has been talking to, and they've all said, "Oh, are you going to be ready by the time I get there?" And he's like, "We're going to be ready. You show up." So,
Great. Any questions for the board?
Any chance of
I
being
just
ahead
want
of
to thank
schedule?
you, Bill,
Sorry.
for all this information, this time lapse is really educational, and hopefully some of these pictures can get in the paper. Mike Perry, if you hear that. Because I think it's great for the public to see that things are moving forward, and some of these snapshots are really great. Thank you.
certainly, our pleasure.
I was just going to ask if, any chance of us being ahead of schedule?
That's a fantastic question, and I wish I could say there's lots of opportunity for being ahead of schedule. Right now, our main focus is trying to stay on schedule. I think this has been a very tight schedule for this construction from the very beginning. So ability for being ahead of schedule is extremely limited right now, and right now we're probably having to think more currently I'm thinking more in line of contingency dollars that we have and hoping that we don't have to use those to pay for acceleration to get us back on schedule if we were to get behind at some point along the way. But that is a risk that we're certainly going to continue to watch. And we're already beginning work on a risk register to make sure that we understand where those risks are. But right now, I think our biggest concern is making sure we don't fall behind. If we find an opportunity to get ahead, then we'll certainly take every advantage of it. But right now, I would not anticipate we'll be early. So. At least not in the overall. So we may have some elements that come in early, and whenever we do, we'll certainly shout those praises. But right now, to think that the overall stadium might come in early, that's way too far in advance for me to be that optimistic yet. So.
Anything else? Well, Bill, thank you. This is, appreciate the update and appreciate the transparency with the live look here.
Certainly. Glad to do it.
We'll move on to other business. I suppose I should read these three items.
Yeah, just read the items for the headings in there.
3 reports on debt obligation. Public Facility Revenue Bonds, Series 2024A, $63,805,000. Public Facility Revenue Bonds, Series 2024B, $14,830,000. Subordinate Lien Public Facility Revenue Bonds, Series 2024C, $5 million.
There's no action. This is informational. State law basically said, state law was changed a few years ago, and Ms. Madison knows this extremely well, but you need to know what the cost that you spent when you do a bond issue. And so this is a form that is filed with the comptroller's office and is also required to be provided to you all at an open meeting showing you what those expenses are. And so it also shows you all the interest rates and everything for the record. And so it needs to be noted that in your minutes that it was handed out. And I'm sure you're wondering, did you drive all the way down here just to tell us that? And the answer to that is no. I really drove down here because I miss Chattanooga, but also I just want to thank all of you all, particularly Matt, who was so indulging with me. He was signing things on vacation, and I know any of you all would have done that, but we would not have gotten this closed without his flexibility. Reverend Weeks helped us out on signing a whole lot of documents, and I just wanted to say thank you also to Phil and Maria. You've got a gem here. I know you all know this. Maria is a great resource in particular. Sorry, Phil, you're great too, but she's tremendous in getting us what we need for a big bond closing like what happened. It was a very tense closing, not because everyone got along great. A lot of tough negotiations, obviously, over the last 2.5 years with the team and with the developer, but everyone really pulled together at the end to get this over the finish line. And we did close, Jim Irwin did close on the lot next to us. And so, unfortunately, that didn't close due to some glitches but we knew it was going to, but I would like to thank Andy. I had a little bit of heartache for a couple of days there, but everything did get closed. And so they are they are the proud owners of the property that wraps around us. We're using some of that as a staging site right now. And then just one last little bit of, not advice, but you all really need to decide, what do you want going forward? I know you're going to want more formal budgeting information, because I know Ms. Madison mentioned that in terms of like, are we staying within our budget? But, just from these kind of boards, how often do you want construction? Basically, you're a construction owner now for the next 18 months, and how often do you want construction updates? Do you want to meet monthly? I know you don't need to decide that now, but that's sort of what I have found, that our board in Knoxville got kind of bored watching, oh, we've now, think, I know Bill's very entertaining, but, you'd all just, there's not going to be a lot of action now for the next, 18 months until y'all get to walk out there, and I'm sure Rich is going to let you all throw out a lot of first pitches, so things together. So you sort of need to get your rhythm of what you want to meet as a board. So anyway, I've got to answer any questions about those forms, and just again wanted to thank you for an opportunity to work on such an exciting project. That was 2.5 years of work for me in that project. So thank you very much.
And Mark, y'all's office has prepared the reports and got them filed here with the comptroller, it looks like on November the 5th at this
Yes.
point in time. And it shows that this is a AAA bond rating that this board actually had in connection with that amount. And it shows the dates that any amounts of maturities occur on here and the amounts that have to be paid in. And we got 3 different sets because of this being a very complex financial deal. So this has been filed with our body. It will be part of our records here associated with this, and we'll monitor it going forward. And hopefully at some point in time, this debt will be retired.
Yes.
Sure.
I will be sitting on the porch rocking in my chair at that point, but yes, I think it will be.
Yes.
It definitely will be. So.
Mrs. Madison?
Yeah, I would also like to, I'm going to be presumptuous here and assume that the City Finance Department played a large role in the issuance and final closing of this bond sale, and we want to thank you as well.
Thank you, all. Thanks, everyone. This has been a real treat. I'm so excited to see construction, as I know you all are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Technically, it wasn't a done deal the last meeting we had, so congrats on the closing.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, well, anything else we need to discuss? Actually, Mr. Mamatop, one quick question. Like, how often does the Knoxville board meet once they've gotten into this construction flow?
The first year, I would say on average, they met every other month, because just to make sure there were no surprises. As we move closer, it seems like we've canceled a lot of meetings, because I think, but they've already set it may make you all, they worked with, I'm sure Rich could address this, they worked with the minor league to have their first game on April 15th, which bought them a little bit of time in terms of their construction schedule instead of playing the first game of the season. But we've canceled the last 2 or 3 meetings because they basically know that they are on time, on budget. But until you have that good warm feeling inside, I would suggest you probably at least want to meet probably every other month in this upcoming year. And I think you'll also, I know the finance team is here and Bill's here, that you will want to sort of, what kind of reports do you all want? You may want to talk about that at your next meeting in terms of, and I'm sure they'll get something to you just to show that we have the $115 million overall budget. How are we staying in that budget? So.
Great.
But I'd say every other month probably for this year, but y'all meet monthly if you want. I love coming down whenever you want me, so.
Thank you. Anything else for the board?
Yeah, last time we met, which was a couple of months ago, I requested an update on the traffic study. So I'm bringing that back up so that we can learn about it and get it in the papers. And so whoever, Bill, if you want to address that for us.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. I know that our internal, the city's transportation team has reviewed the traffic impact study. They've made some comments. We've also provided those over to TDOT, and we're currently waiting on TDOT's review and any comments that they may have. But we are in the process of doing that sort of more regional review of what's happening for the stadium in itself and how that fits into the overall transportation traffic patterns.
So when you get that information, would you send it over so it gets to Adam, I guess in this case, and Phil. So it gets on the agenda when we can get a report, showing what's happening and just all the details of that. And understand that there's a lot of parts and pieces to this,
Yes.
which is good. So as soon as that happens, if you will just let the board know through the channels that it'll be an agenda item. And
Certainly.
I won't keep asking.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll be glad to do that.
Right.
I know we've also been having conversations, with CARTA and with others as well. So
Yeah.
there are lots of pieces, and so there will actually probably be different elements. There'll be this comment phase, which kind of, but then really that really creates this in some ways, it will create kind of an iteration of what are the possibilities in certain circumstances. In other cases, those comments may just turn into action items that
Right.
wind up happening. So it'll be a blend of things that I think you'll see. And some of those will be short-term, immediate type fixes. Others may be more intermediate range. That may require a little bit more planning as we work to go forward, or things to watch as time goes on as well. So
Right, thanks,
certainly.
Bill.
Anybody else? All right, meeting's adjourned.